What's up, everyone? This is BigPowner, and I'm going to be doing a video covering something that is good information for everyone to have. Some of the stuff about it, I think it's going to get tweaked. I'm talking about Kirac. It was, I mean, for a lot of people now, it might not be very useful information, but it's good information to have, especially for like next league launch, because we're gonna have this atlas for a while. I don't see our atlas changing. They put a ton of work into it. The only way I could see this changing anytime soon, or the soonest, would be like next year. Um, they don't do these big reworks very often. Um, they'll improve on it, or they'll make adjustments to stuff, maybe change some passives in our tree around or something like that, make something stronger that's underpowered. And you can already kind of figure out some of that stuff, or I've figured out the stuff that needs to be buffed, the stuff that might need to be pulled back on just a little bit. But one of the best things on this, as far as early progression and making currency, kind of if you're struggling, would be Keurig. And I know a lot of people aren't utilizing him because, like, super early, I was picking up scouting reports that there's no way they should have been costing me what they were costing me. Um, so Keurig is always going to have a place early game, and the reason why is for getting completion. Like, his scouting reports for completion are just pretty insane. We've got the Vol scouting report, which is going to corrupt all non-unique maps. This is really important, but it becomes really important on when you use it. So early game, we're going to start with the early game stuff, or Atlas completion. So if you're not done with your Atlas completion yet, this will help you out. If you are, maybe, sit through it. It might help you. It might help you next league. We'll get on to the currency earning stuff. So if you're not like in a place where you're doing end game farming, these things might be beneficial to you, which is going to help you in a league start to scale yourself into earning. Like, it's basically like, get that earning, and we'll explain why it doesn't translate into super endgame farming. So the Vol scouting report is going to be the most beneficial because once you get to red maps, and the reason why is because all of the red maps, or the maps that start off as red, you have the white maps that you complete on magic, you have the yellow maps that you complete on rare, and then when you get into the reds, which is right about here, they have to be completed on corrupted. So you don't want to use the corrupted until you're getting into reds, or until you have red missions open, and then you're going to use it basically to finish your atlas. So that's really good. The other one that's really good for completion is going to be the Explorer Scouting Report. So Explorer Scouting Report is really good. Um, I saved these till I got down to like a small amount, and I kind of saved them up, and then I just popped them off, and I went from like 80 something completion to nearly completed. And the only ones that I don't have complete were the super rare ones, like Doriani's and Vinctor, which at this point I should probably just buy them just to have full completion. Um, so yeah, just save them for the right time, and then you pop them off, and you're just basically going to power through your map, because these are so cheap now. Like 2C, 2.6C, and it looks like there's some listed for even less, like 1C, 2 blessed orbs, 2 blessed orbs, 4 blessed orbs, 1 vol, 1 chaos. So they're really cheap. Um, so, and then I'll just show you how we use these. You just go into the Keurig. You take, I want, I want uncompleted maps. So I just click it, and if I had regular uncompleted maps, there'd be a good chance that it would come up, and then I could run that, assuming that the mods are available to me that I want or need. So now we're going to talk about some of the ones that are good for money, the reason why they're good in the beginning, and then once you're kind of like in that completed like end game grind type of situation, why they're not as good. So the first big downside is you can't put scarabs in. You can't use sextants. So if you already have all of your watchstones and you're running scarabs, then you're missing out on a lot of added currency. The other big downside is that his maps aren't affected by our tree. So what I'll comment about that is, I don't know if they meant for nothing to work in him. They may have, because that's the way it was with Xana. Um, but so it may stay like that. But there is still a place for him because until you have those watchstones, until you have a bunch of points in your trees and you got super farmable stuff, then it's going to be really good to have free maps for completion and chances to get big stuff. And that's where we get into the other stuff. So the Delirium scouting report is really dope early. Early on you might be able to run some 20%, 40%, 60%, but probably like earlier in the league, you might be able to do it without all the mods, but you probably can't do it with full sextants and four four sextants and stuff like that. So, and also the orbs are expensive, so you can use a Delirium scouting report. And what does that do? It makes it so that you have random generated 20 to 100% delirium on all of these maps. And I don't know why. I just got a really bad roll, all 20s. So, the rewards aren't going to be as great from these. We're going to roll another one. Just because 20, what? Oh, there's a 40. So I didn't have very good rolls. But it's 20 to 100%. They're randomly rolled. You get a random number of maps. I also don't have any of the Kirac mods on anymore. So yeah. um, but yeah, so it's nice. You could get some nice bonuses in there, get some extra loot and stuff like that early on. If you're not already in a place where you can just start juicing the stuff yourself. Another cool one is this otherworldly scouting. So the really cool thing about the otherworldly scouting is you can get upgraded breach stones. So not just regular breach stones, but you can get those higher tier ones. Unique maps. I could spam these and try to get my finished one, my final maps. It's probably not going to happen, but yeah. So unique maps. If you're going for unique map completion, more reason to get done early. You can also wind up hitting synthesis maps that are basically worth running all the time. If you get them, if you get a cortex, spamming these, trying to get something, a couple EX map. The reason why it's that much is because of the drops that are associated with it that aren't affected by the bottle of faith isn't affected by any of the mods in our tree. So it's going to be good for you regardless. There is some stuff like that is going to be worthwhile. So them being really cheap, you could spam them and try to see what you can get. We do have the Elder Slayer, Shaper, Guardian missions. If you were trying to get the fragments, right now fragments are really cheap, so I don't think everyone's running them. I don't think that there's any lack of them in the game, so the fragments are pretty cheap. So that's probably not going to be the money maker or worthwhile to many people to run them, but it is something to be aware of. What's the fragment of eradication? 20C. Yeah, like 14C, 13C, 10C. Probably not really what you're going to be worth running, but it's good to know that they're there. It's just something that's there. Uh, so yeah, um, in relation to this, I'm going to do pretty much every single league. I did it this league is I came up and filled out Kirac in these. Once I stopped using him, I removed those points because there comes a point where I don't really need him anymore. I've got more maps than I can use. Got more maps than I can use, and it's just not providing the bonuses that I actually need at this point. But I filled out all these points, all the notables. Sometimes I'd have 1 point missing, but the extra missions early on is a really big deal. The reason why the extra missions are a really big deal is because more chances to get those rolls. Because each time you use a mission, each time you complete a mission, you not only get whatever it is that you played, but on top of that, his inventory resets when you do that. So like my inventory hasn't changed because I haven't done any of them in a while, but every time I do that, one of those missions, it resets his inventory, which there's really good value just in that alone. He comes up with divination cards. Some of them are meh. Some of them are good. He also comes up selling Conqueror maps, selling Elder maps, selling influenced maps. He sells these really cool maps um, that have enchantments on them that add like we have. This is a really cool one. So there's a mod in here that says this map's modifiers of quantity and items found also apply to rarity. So you can see this is only a 76% quantity map, but it's got 101% rarity. That's really cool. So pay attention for those. We also have, those are just more of those. We have like this one. It came from him. It's enchanted. It's got an implicit modifier that adds 5 additional shrines. You can still use the modifiers added to from Kirac. So it's just 5 shrines just added to the map. You can do whatever you want with it. It's an implicit modifier. Super cool. We have another one. An additional expedition encounter. Like that's cool. They also have Harbinger ones and Harvest ones. There's a bunch of stuff on there. Super cool. Something that every time you complete one of his missions, you should be checking his inventory. They do cost to buy them, but the cost is definitely worth it considering, you're starting off with implicits or you're adding the quantity to the rarity, which is going to make, a very juicy map. I'm going to save those and only use them for like 100% deliriums and stuff like that because, that's a huge bonus. Um, so yeah, that's Keurig. Um, good to be aware of how strong he is and how to utilize him because he absolutely makes um, going from starting the league to having full completion super smooth. I never was at a place where I was stuck. I've never had a league where I didn't get stuck with my maps at some point, and it was because of Keurig. So keep that in mind. If you still don't have completion, he might be worth throwing the points in because these points are cheap. Orbs of Unmaking are 1.5. Are these really 2C? Oh, 1.3. Oh, that's weird. I guess I guess those actually have some value. What? Probably a lot of respecking going on, but still not super expensive. 1.3C, 1.4, 1.5C, something like that. Um, so yeah, super useful thing to know about as far as progressing. Anyways, hope this content helps you either right now if you're still struggling, or it'll help you in a future league start. Thanks for watching. Peace.